Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times this Tuesday, November 23, 2021. For today's editorial, new COVID specter threatens Europe. Violent protests have recently erupted in several countries in Europe, following announcements of drastic COVID restrictions to stem a new wave of infections. Riots have broken out in France, the Netherlands, and Belgium, while anti-vaccine demonstrators marched in Austria, Croatia, and Italy over the weekend. Many European governments have imposed nationwide lockdowns after coronavirus cases swelled to record levels in the continent. The World Health Organization warned that COVID-19 could kill 500,000 people in Europe by March next year if its spread is not slowed. Austria is the first European country to clamp a full lockdown, and other states are expected to impose their own lockdowns soon. Vaccinations will also be mandatory. Austria's Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg admits that convincing his countrymen to get their shots will be an uphill battle. He blames too many political forces, flimsy vaccination opponents, and fake news for creating the huge wall of vaccine hesitancy. Why is the anti-vaccine sentiment so strong in Europe? An article published online last month by the Institut Montaigne, a Paris-based think tank, offers valuable clues. Since the end of the 18th century, there has been individual and collective opposition to the vaccine, based on arguments ranging from cultural to religious, from ethical to political. The article's author, Eugenia Tognotti, a professor of medicine and human sciences, noted. That intrinsic reluctance carries over to present times, further amplified by the mistrust in science and the doubts over whether COVID-19 vaccines, developed too quickly, are safe. Tognotti says. She adds, the incredibly timely development of the COVID-19 vaccine may give off the impression that scientists have favored speed over everything else, even though researchers around the world had started to work on the development of the vaccine since the early phases of the pandemic. Worse, the skepticism is stoked by misrepresentations on the internet and other social media platforms that mandating vaccinations is a government conspiracy to impose its will on the populace. Unsurprisingly, the vaccination rates in Europe are far from impressive, more so because it does not suffer from a shortage of doses. In Eastern European countries like the Czech Republic and Bulgaria, the rate is less than 60%. Tognotti suggests that experts, researchers, and health authorities push harder to allay fears and regain public trust by urgently introducing new communication strategies and ways to address the lack of trust in the COVID-19 vaccine before the danger takes on greater dimensions. The danger may have already grown. Many anti-vaxxers are projecting their cause as an anti-government movement, brandishing slogans like "Down with the health dictatorship" and "Our country is becoming totalitarian." The coronavirus resurgence in Europe should raise red flags for the Philippines, which has been aggressively easing quarantine protocols for arrivals from countries listed as low risk for COVID. That list must be constantly updated, given the fast-evolving situation. A case in point, the IATF-EID has already approved the recommendation of the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, to accept COVID vaccination certificates of travelers from the Netherlands and the Czech Republic. We believe the DFA recommendation needs to be reviewed. We should be circumspect in reopening our borders too early. We do not want to reprise the ordeal we went through in fighting back several COVID surges. We have even moved forward from hard lockdowns to what appears to be a more effective way of controlling infections to acceptable levels. There's no reason why we can't move faster. The country's vaccine supply has stabilized. We're now inoculating minors and administering booster shots to frontline workers and the elderly. Only minor issues keep us from switching to high gear. Problems in the delivery chain prevent doses from reaching vaccination sites on time. And even if the doses arrive on time, there are not enough qualified staffers to administer them. The Department of Health, or DOH, has called for volunteers to address the manpower shortage. Syringes were also reported to be in short supply, although the DOH promised to address the problem by the end of the month. We can only hope that everything clicks into place before the year ends. And that's editorial for Tuesday, November 23, 2021. For more news and information, Get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.